Often your sound is described just as EDM or just electronic music. Do you have a way that you tend to describe the music that you make?
Um, I would describe my sounds as a combination of progressive house and melodic techno. So, kind of meshing those two together, along with occasionally some more experimental types of electronic sounds. Um, and obviously leading with vocals most of the time as part of the melody.
Who are some artists then that influenced you when you were growing up?
Gosh, I had kind of a weird childhood. So growing up, I was only allowed to really listen to classical music.
Wow.
So really, growing up, Chopin, Bach, Beethoven,
Hmm.
people like that. But as I sort of came out of that sheltered early upbringing and went out on my own, you know, I started living on my own and supporting myself at the age of 17. So that was kind of around the time that I discovered more and more electronic artists who really inspired me. And I didn't have to hide the fact that I was trying to listen to these unique artists anymore. In the early stages, I loved artists like Flume, which is, a totally different style from the style of music that I make. Obviously, I've always loved Dead Mouse. He's kind of just like a grandfather of electronic sounds, and um, he's definitely a trailblazer for the whole entire, you know, community of electronic artists, which I really appreciate. But these days, I would say some of my favorite artists are Plex, Stefan Bodson, um, gosh, Monolink. I really love Monolink. Um, Jan Blomqvist. There's a bunch of really amazing artists. I kind of can't really ever choose a favorite because there are so many amazing artists to choose from. So I kind of vacillate between artist to artist.
You have Luminera out right now as an EP.
Yes.
It's your debut EP. I'm curious, for this one, is there a theme you had going into it, or did you just find these three songs together and then you're like, you know what, this makes a perfectly cohesive EP?
So I've made hundreds of songs over the course of the last
Sure.
two years. Yeah, it's been a lot of music that I, made and either didn't feel confident in or just made for myself. These three songs are still made for myself, but they're all kind of they were all made post Burning Man of last year. So I went to Burning Man last year with one of my best friends. He convinced me to go. He was going for over a decade, I think 12 years, or maybe it was his 10th year, something like that. But I went. It was an incredible adventure, wonderful experience, and so much amazing music. So much amazing music. It was just a concentration of this melodic techno, organic drums, progressive house type sounds that I really love. And I hadn't been really immersed in those types of sounds for 7 days straight ever before. So it was really incredible. And, so I came home and I started making music then based off of that experience. And then my friend who I went passed away. And that was just, a very shocking and tragic experience. I never lost a friend like that. And so I then wrote the opening track off the EP, the first track, called The Alchemist, for him, kind of in his memory as I was dealing with that loss and trying to process it. It was kind of the only thing that I could do, was just try to like alchemize this terrible loss into something that might hopefully last forever. And, music to some extent does, which is nice. And, you know, it just felt like the right thing to do at the time. And then, you know, when I was sort of moving through the stages of grief and I actually shared this song with people, um, everyone kind of was able to grasp the emotion that was behind it, which is really a key part in what makes a good song, I feel. So that was kind of that song, along with this loss, was what inspired this entire EP to actually be completed and then released. Because it sounds like it is pretty dark, but you know, we don't really know how long we have here.
Right. No,
And
it's true.
so I just decided to say, you know, finally, after making all these songs, I made these three songs after the burn. The first one is for him. The lyrics are quotes from our conversations.
Oh,
And so I decided to just say fuck it and finally release something. And I'm so happy that I did. And I know he'd be very happy too. So yeah, that's the story though behind the whole thing.
well, producer Burko has worked with you on remixing The Alchemist.
Yes.
What does that mean
Mhm.
to you, and how did the two of you connect?
So, he is sort of a part of this network of producers that extends from Los Angeles down to San Diego. He's amazing. I love his music. I love his sounds. Um, and he's just a really great human as well. But we connected, I think it was my friend's roommate. So my friend really, really believes in this song and in this EP, and she went and told her roommate, and her roommate is with Burko, and then the word got passed on, and she told Burko, or my friend told Burko, something like that, and passed on the link to the music, and he took a listen, and he was like, he just reached right out to me, and he was like, hey, like, I really want to remix The Alchemist, and I was like, oh my gosh, okay, cool, that's amazing. And I really love what he did with it. He kind of switched up the mood, and made it something that's more of like an energy builder rather than this melancholic type of song. Um, and I think it's really cool to see how, you know, someone else's approach can just completely change the energy that's encapsulated in a piece of music.
What's your typical songwriting process? Do you tend to have beats or music that whispers in your ear and you get it down in a voice memo? Do you not even have a typical writing process for the songs that you craft?
I mean, it depends. I am terribly disorganized with my voice memos. That happens a lot where I do have, you know, a concept that is, it'll just come to me while I'm usually on the road or in the shower, honestly. um, and then I'll, you know, open my voice memo app, but I haven't gone through those, and there's hundreds of them, and they're not labeled. I haven't gone through those in a long time, which I probably should. And I might, in the next phase of making music, go through those. Um, but for my usual sort of songwriting, I like to sit down, and I'm classically trained with piano, so that makes it easy to just kind of like sit down, start with some chords. I don't really go for piano these days. I go for synthesizer. So I might start with designing a sound, or I might start with putting down some chords. And generally, it starts there. It doesn't start with the beat for me as much, because, you know, I'm kind of different in that way from the producers that I know who are drummers first and foremost. You know, they'll start with a beat. And then for me, I'm a pianist and a singer first and foremost. So I'll start with, you know, a melody or a lyric idea, or sometimes even just like an emotional concept that I'm just like trying to somehow convey through a creation somehow. It all depends, honestly.
Then are you very hands-on as well when it comes to the production side of the music you make?
Yes, everything is all me. I am kind of a control freak when it comes to my music. Yeah, I actually, so in one of the songs there was one tiny element that was suggested by my friend Julian Gray, and so I added that in and kind of just added in a little ARP to the second half of one of the drops. I think it was in The Alchemist actually. So in the second half of one of the drops, there's a really subtle little arp, an arpeggiator that goes up and down in the background. You might not even notice it for like your first, your second, or your third listen, but it's there. Other than that, it's all me. I mean, it's like I have become obsessive with creating when I'm in that creative flow state. Um, so everything, all the sound design, the composition, the lyrics, the production, um, even, moving into the mixing, I do a bit of that myself. That's all me. And then I do hand everything off once I'm done with it to my two engineers who kind of just like polish. So that's just, leveling out the tracks and then bringing up the volume of everything so that it really hits and plays well in, a full PA sound system sort of setting.
Is there a message or an emotion you hope lingers with people that explore Luminera?
That's a good question. Um, I feel like I hope that maybe there is some sort of inkling of the emotion that is behind each of the songs that, may not be interpreted in exactly the same way or in exactly the same emotion that it was written with, but hopefully will um, make a listener feel something. You know, everybody has their own experiences with different emotions, and everyone's brains react differently to sounds. So everything is open to interpretation, but you know, maybe if it's a lyric, maybe if it's a sound or a chord or something, I just hope that, you know, maybe it's a sense of longing or a sense of melancholy or like Freeze as You Fall is so upbeat. Maybe someone starts dancing. That'd be great. um, yeah, I really just, with my entire project, this EP, all future EPs, all future albums, all I aim to do is just make people feel something. I know it's not going to be what I felt when I created these songs because everyone's different, but if someone feels something, then my goal is accomplished.
You have upcoming performances at Electric Eden, the Catwalk Club, and Concept. What can fans expect from a live KARMÅ performance?
So I'm really excited for Electric Eden this upcoming weekend. I will be singing live, which I haven't done before. Well, that's not true. I used to sing live a lot when I was really young. And I sing obviously in the studio quite a lot, but in terms of singing live on a stage, it's probably been a decade since I did that. So I'm really, really excited for this. It's gonna be really fun. Um, and I will be singing the remix of The Alchemist that Burko um, has made. So that'll be sort of the first listening experience for that remix, which is really exciting. For the Catwalk, my EP release party is going to be really exciting. I am going to be playing synthesizers live along with singing. So kind of multitasking up on stage. I'm excited for that. It'll be kind of my test run for that concept because I would like to move all of my performances away from DJing and sort of towards that type of live performance setting. Um, and then, yeah, there's a couple other shows coming up. I think those few other shows are going to be in more of a hectic warehouse rave type of situation.
Ugh,
So I don't know if I'm going to be bringing my expensive gear to
fair,
those situations,
fair enough.
but we're gonna dance. That's what people can expect from those shows.
Will you be redhead or black hair by that time?
Probably redhead. That's kind of yeah,
Your
so
signature,
it's
it's gorgeous on you.
thank you so much. Yeah, I tend to go back and forth a lot and it's really terrible for my hair. But I just go through so many phases so quickly that I'm constantly like going back to my hairdresser, and he's like, "You've done it again. Why have you done this to me again?"
Well,
And
black
yeah,
with
we
the red
just
tips looks good there right now.
oh, thank you. Thank you. This is kind of what, so like I go, I get it professionally taken back to red, and then I'll have like a really emotional moment or like a rough patch, and I'll just throw some box dye on it. And then it fades, and then the tips fade more, and then I go back to my hairstylist, and he's like, "Dear God, why have you done this again?" And he has to like bleach the living hell out of my hair in order to get it back to the red. So
The
maybe
life of a
eventually one
performer.
day. What'd you say?
The life of a performer. You
Oh
have to be on.
yeah. Oh yeah, it is. Yeah. I've even considered going blue, which might be for the next phase. I think that'd be fun to have some contrast. But I know he'll just shake his head at me. He'll do it no matter what, but I know
Sure.
he might resent the moment of truth where I ask for that to be done.
What would you like to say then to people who are fans and supporters of the incredible music that you make?
Gosh, just honestly, thank you so much. Like I honestly have been on this creative journey as an outlet mainly. And so to be able to actually have people connect with the things that I'm just like journaling about. Like music is just my diary, you know? So to have people connect with that on, an emotional or spiritual level, it just is so incredibly meaningful and honestly pretty unexpected. I wasn't really expecting to even come this far with everything. So I'm just beyond grateful. And um yeah, I guess everyone stay excited because there are a lot of projects in the works right now, and it's we're gonna be picking up momentum from here on out. This is pretty much just the beginning. So I'm really, really thrilled about everything that's going on right now.